Come on, answer the phone.
Protein projects.
Live.
1 2 1 2. We are live, and this is I want to say on air with Andrew Keaton, but this is a abbreviated version of the Respectful Live show on 90.7 WTCC. First of all, we want to thank D Moss for allowing us to use this stream, and we're going to get into a topic today that everyone should jot notes, pay attention to. We have Justin Yarde in the studio, in the Super Studios. Did I say it right? Justin
Yard.
I say Yardley, man, because you got that purple and gold and all that stuff. And Yardley and all of that. That's a little a little thing that we got going on and all like that. So Justin Yarde on here, we're going to be talking about diabetics. We're going to be talking about his venue as well on Gasoline Alley, and also we're going to be talking living in here and stuff like that. And we're also going to be talking about a few things that he has going on and a few events that he has going on. So welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you. It's a long time coming.
Okay, good. So tell us, how long have you been on this fitness journey?
Fitness has been probably 10 years, since 2009 when I came to Springfield, actually. 2009 I started working in a gym and being a supervisor at the YMCA in like 2011. So from then, I don't know how many years that is now. It's been about 10 years. Wow, 10 years. Yeah, 10 years in fitness. Yeah.
So you have a milestone going on 10 years.
Yeah, I didn't even check it. I forgot. Like you're doing the work, so you don't even recognize it. Yeah, I've been doing it for like 10 years straight.
Right. Now, you were originally from this area?
Not from Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you went to school here at American International College, right?
Yep.
Was that your major in college?
No, I actually majored in criminal justice.
Okay.
Yeah, and I majored in criminal justice, then ended up just in fitness by happenstance. Actually, I remember when me and you used to be with Nate doing the marketing thing. Yeah. Actually, it was like I had 3 different things going on. My major was criminal justice. Marketing was what I was doing outside of that because I had a lot of experience in it working. And then fitness is what I did part-time working at the YMCA, sports and rec and fitness. Right. So yeah, it was just funny.
That's funny that you say that, right? Because it was me, you, Nate, recipes, Zephyrin, recipes once again to Zephyrin. Because we all started out and we were doing the shows, and that's been a while.
That's been a while.
Wow. So it's funny that say that, because actually you have evolved from that point, because you even have your own facility now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, yo.
So our journey is now on Albany Street, and we do personal training, exercise classes, nutrition classes, meal plans. We just added sound healing and yoga. And then actually we're going to be launching Reiki as well.
Oh, wow. That's
huge. And then, so we're trying to get into the realm of wellness completely. You know what I mean? Which we've already been doing. We've been doing sound healing for the last 3 years, 4 years in yoga. You on this weight loss journey and you on these fitness journeys. There's a sense that people understand it's about the mind too. Like even when you go from fasting, I just actually recently just got off a 20-day fast. And it's really about mind control. So is there anything with meditation? We have mindfulness as well. So we have mindfulness. It's every first and third Saturday. Like we do a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? We don't like promote crazy about it, but now we are, because we realize it's important even more. And it's needed. We already knew it's important. It's needed, right, in our community. So we do mindfulness every first and third Sunday of the month. But we're going to be increasing that too as well, because we see that it's something that people want to do, but people don't know how to do. A lot of people are very scared of it and have done it before and feel like they were unsuccessful and stuff like that, not understanding how mindfulness works. Right. It's an individual journey for everybody. So it's not one size fits all. You're not going to be floating on air all the time. It's different ways to meditate and different. You hear about Ayurvedic meditation in the area of yoga and stuff like that. But we've been doing that in Africa for
centuries, right?
You know what I mean? So it's different ways. You have comedic yoga and mindfulness. They do their own thing too. So there's so many different ways in which you can be mindful. You know what I mean? And so we want to make sure they know that it's not a cookie cutter, one size fits all. We see people yoga positions. That's yoga. That's not that's a yogi's way of mindfulness, and that's a position.
Right.
They're specifically in that position for a reason, and understanding that there's many ways to do it. You don't have to do it their way.
Yeah. So people need to connect to that, because one of the things, if you look at the lineup of the plans and the coming up with queries, so meditation a lot takes place in what's going on, like in the earth, and what's going on with the planets and how they're lined up. So I'm starting to do a lot of research on that stuff. But like Justin said, there's a lot of things that he can talk about, a lot of things that they offer in their services. But one of the things that we really want to touch base on today is diabetes. So there's a lot of myths about diabetes. There's a lot of information that even a physician, and like I said, this is a disclaimer, because it's not just speaking as me, that even a physician might give you wrong information on when it comes to diabetes, because a lot of times it's up to them to get you to try different medications and all of that. So tell us some of the basics. How do you get diabetes and how you can cure diabetes? And then we're going to get into some myths about diabetes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not an endocrinologist, but we've been working with people with diabetes for probably the last 7 years since Garden of Eden. Our journey was at 441 White Street. So I also was pre-diabetic. Dad's diabetic. What they say diabetes is, it's an endocrine disease, right? So that means that it's hormone based, you have no control over it, right? And so basically what it is like you have high sugar levels in your bloodstream, and those sugar levels are constant and chronic. Like chronically, you're at a certain level, right? First thing in the morning, you might be at 200, and so you're at that sugar level for a sustained period of time, and so therefore the communication with insulin, which is the hormone that actually stores sugar, it regulates your sugar levels in your body, but specifically it stores sugar. I want people to know that so they don't hear regulation and not understand how that happens. And so it regulates, but it actually stores sugars from your bloodstream into your muscle tissue, to your liver, whatever the case is. And so that's the job of insulin. And when you have diabetes, they're saying that insulin can no longer store those sugars in their correct spaces or correct places they're supposed to be in the body.
Is that true or not? Now, what's the myth about that?
I can't say it's a myth, but it's a misnomer that you have to explain the whole picture. Doctors are not. I know that because I've been in the space of where they're telling you this, and they're not telling you the full story.
Right.
And this is nothing I'm saying. It's according to their pathophysiology, pathology of disease. Like I'm not making any of this up. This is what. That's
what I want you to do. I want you to clarify it, because if you go to a physician, you might get another story. You might say, well, there's nothing we can do because you'll be on type 1 and by type 2, but this is the medications that will cure it, where absolutely that might not necessarily be true, because you could just exercise and cure it. So that's why I was saying, like, what are some of the myths and all of that? And once again, we are not physicians or anything, but as Justin has told you, he was diabetic at one time, pre-diabetic. And are you diabetic now?
No.
So you can speak the truth on how you cured yourself, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't a physician.
No. So some of the myths or misnomers is that diabetes is not reversible. You can't use the word cure nowadays because it gets you, but it's not reversible.
Right.
You need metformin, you need certain drugs in order for you to manage your sugars.
Right.
Another myth to diabetes is that it has nothing to do with nutrition. Right?
Right.
This is type 2 diabetes mellitus.
And I hear that the one that you just said with the nutrition, I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Because I when we talk to people with diabetes, the first thing they'll say to me is, well, I need to take my medication. And the things that they need to do, they don't implement what they should do. I mean, I'm pretty sure diabetes isn't something that just came around.
No.
They just didn't diagnose it as being diabetes.
Yeah,
So
diabetes is like 200 years old. They first found it really in the think it was the 1800s is when you started seeing cases of diabetes, maybe even earlier than that.
And that's because of the food.
Yeah, it was when you transitioned
More the salty foods and stuff.
Yeah, and the sugars and stuff like that. So another myth to diabetes is that when you're on your diabetes medication, you can never get off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying that there's certain doctors. So doctors vary. Your prime is always going to vary. So, and another myth to that is, well, I'll keep it at.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Just because were you saying that? Were you ever on medication?
No, I wouldn't. I refuse. I couldn't take it anyway. But yeah, no, I wouldn't take it.
Okay, so go a little bit into that. How is some myth about how you can never be off the medication?
So it depends on the person. So like type 2 diabetes mellitus, not type 1, but type 2 diabetes specifically, is a disease that is usually going to be handled and managed by an endocrinologist, which is a person that studies hormones.
Right.
So if you're only studying the hormone, you're only studying what? Insulin.
Insulin. So it's so you're medicating. You're inclined to figure the only way to treat it is by a medication.
Understanding how the pancreas, the beta cells work, alpha cells, and all those things. Right.
Yeah,
So
and another thing I want to say to you is that's why there's always different medications they come up.
And it's not. I'm not saying that these endocrinologists know the endocrine system like this.
Right.
I had endocrinologists. They don't know nutrition. I'm not. It's not me saying that. Right. They'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that because.
Well, you're speaking truth. Though.
I'm speaking truth. That's not them being taking nothing from them. They know their stuff.
Right.
But if you're looking at it from one point of view, then you can't understand how sugars work and understand food and how food works. Right. And so you can get off your medication because the medication doesn't do anything when it comes to the actual problem.
Right.
It's a management. Right. And so most of your medication is something to do with insulin, insulin production, insulin release, time capsule release, all that stuff. That's what it has to do with. But when we talk about sugars in your body and the amount of sugar you should be eating, how you balance your sugars, eating fiber with that. I'm not even going deep into that. Just that alone, then you can change how you look at diabetes. So I tell people to look at diabetes from an intake perspective, a nutrition perspective, then it can change everything for you.
Really?
Right.
Now, let me ask you, and once again, like I said, we're not doctors, anything, and I'm not targeting the medical industry, but is it known that a lot of these medications can cause more harm than be helpful?
Well, I'm not in that field of the medication and that.
Well, just from your observation.
My observation, I had a client, yesterday, said I couldn't take the diabetes medication because of how it made me feel, right? And everybody knows. I already said it, but I won't say it again. There's a specific medication that binds you up and makes you feel nauseous and stuff like that, right? This is one of the side effects. Now, some of their medications are designed to do what the body already does, right? And so there's a mechanism in your body that signals one hormone to signal another hormone. Right. It's called a chemical cascade. You can look this up, right? And it's a single mechanism, right? And so that's what the medication normally targets is that signaling pathway like that. And that's
so I wasn't far-fetched too much when I said that.
No, that's just I do this all the time because I'm like, listen, I ain't making this up. This is all stuff you can say. So they have side effects because your body's already doing what it's supposed to do. And then another thing to that, there's called, and you can research this again, negative feedback loop, right? And that happens in endocrine system. With your
what is negative feedback loop?
So your body has a balancing, right? It can't have one thing that's opposite of another. Right. So let's say you can't have two hormones that do the opposite thing happening together. Right. So the one will signal another one to stop, run away, and they'll have another signaling method to tell that one to go when that one's not. They can't be in the same place at the same time. And that's just one aspect of negative feedback loop, right? And so when you have a hormone come in, right, or if there's too much of something, they'll tell it to stop. Negative feedback. Okay. Right?
Is hypertension a result of diabetes? Or is that something totally different? Because from what I understand, it's something that's totally different, but it's related to stress, as we know, and also can be related on some of the medications that you get through diabetes. Is that a myth or
so hypertension being high blood pressure?
Yes.
Right. So I say that because people will be like, "What is that?" High blood pressure can be related to diabetes in a way, pathology wise, is because sugars, when you have a high amount of sugars in your blood, you have to urinate a lot.
Right.
That's one of the side effects of diabetes, urination, frequent urination, right? Because it has to pee out.
Pee out, it has to clean the system out. Yeah.
So what your body does is use water for that. And so it increases how much water is in your bloodstream.
Right.
And so that can happen. That could be a side effect. Not saying it is, but that could be a side effect. Again, you guys can research this. There's a dilation, right? I'm not making nothing up, right? So that could be a side effect of having too many sugars in your blood, and your body having to increase the volume of water that's in your bloodstream and causing that vasodilation to happen even stronger.
Right. So now that we're at this point, because you basically, we talked about the medication piece, we talked about diabetes. How do you, I don't, like you said, we want to say cure. How do you control and basically eliminate diabetes out of your system?
You look at it from a nutrition standpoint,
right? Well, I want you to clarify. Now, we're not saying medical. We're saying nutrition, which basically you can, basically you can do the same thing. So he's just giving you an alternative now here.
That's it. I'm just saying on the nutrition side.
Yes.
The first thing you do is you manage your sugars and how you eat sugars when you eat your sugars.
Okay. And how do you do? Like, I'll give an example.
So, right? The two things I tell people to stop doing, right? If you cannot stay away from refined sugars that have been stripped of the nutrients, our white bread, white pasta, all that stuff, right? Our candies, our licorice, our sodas, right?
Right.
Those sugars, if you cannot manage those, you manage when you eat them. Some people are addicted. And so I'm going to talk to those people real quick. We stop eating sugars at night. Past 7 o'clock, don't eat sugars. Because most diabetics, the way you get tested is when? You don't get tested in the morning you get tested, right?
When your levels are at
the highest, right? So it should be at the lowest. But if it's high, that means you're diabetic.
Right.
It shouldn't be, your level should be the highest after you ate a carb, 2 hours after you ate a carb. But if that's not, that means your sugars are always high. So you stop eating carbs in the morning. I mean, at night. And then in the morning, the first thing you should eat is a pre-digested or fructose, something with fiber in it. Fruits. Right? So if you can do that, you're going to lower your sugars automatically. Like it's going to get lower. It's just common sense, right?
Now, what if you do that? You stop, say a person goes on a week binge of what you say. So they stop, they eat sugar. I mean, they eat the fiber in the morning time, but they're still taking the medication. So not that you have an answer for that, but is that doing any harm? Because I'm not telling people to stop taking medication while they're doing it. I'm just saying, do you think there's a reverse effect for doing that?
Yes and no. So first thing, you're going to train your body how to stop eating at 7.
Right.
So now your body's not going to require as much sugar in the morning. A lot of people say I have headaches when I do that. Why? Because you're an addict.
Right.
So your body's calling for something that you've been thinking. You get headaches because sugar is used mostly in the brain. Okay.
Exactly.
So boom. The problem, yet the no about that is, or the yes about that is the fact that when you do take it now, you don't train your pancreas on how to do its job by itself. It needs the meds to stimulate and do everything.
Right.
So whatever you don't use in your body, you lose. All right. And whatever pathway you don't use, you lose.
Right.
You have to train your body. Literally works on cycles.
Right.
Like understand that. Whatever you do the most, your body will train itself to do whatever you do the most. And so that is the problem. You don't train your pancreas, but you do train your stomach. You do train your mind on how to take less sugar and operate on less sugar. And so then if you wanted to get off the medication, maybe for a week, you would ask your physician, all right, my sugar levels have dropped substantially. My A1C is at a manageable level. Can I see what I can do without medication? Right. And then that's conversation you have with your physician.
Right.
But on the nutrition side, you can change that because now you just created a whole system where you can operate with less sugar, refined sugars.
Right. You just have to really just stop the intake of it. Really.
Yeah, you can. I have meal plans for all. You know what I mean? I have a thing for people that's like you staying away from refined sugars completely. You know what I mean? Dr. Whitaker says all grains out.
Right. He said that, right?
I understand why he says that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's hard for somebody to just
100%.
So your plan really is gradually. And I know I've talked to Dr. Whitaker as well, and he says the same thing. Just stay away from that.
Yeah, he would stay away from all grains. Period.
Yes.
He said clean all the, and that's to retrain the whole mechanism of insulin and sugar, right? And so another piece is 4 to 5 hours of prolonged starvation, right? So what does that mean? You take 4 to 5 hour gaps in between your meals.
Right.
Why?
Or intermediate fasting.
Intermittent fasting. Why does that work? All right. Like I said, negative feedback loop. There's always an opposite to insulin.
Yeah.
So insulin stores hormones. Glucagon, you can research this. Glucagon does the opposite of insulin, but they can't be together at the same time.
Right.
The only way you get to use glucagon, which glucagon takes sugars from your body, right? Because your sugars are low now, right? You have lower sugar levels, so it has to take sugars from your tissue and stuff like that. The only way you can do that is when you have 4 to 5 hours of not eating sugar specifically, but eating period, right? Because insulin just doesn't only deal with sugar. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
But then once you stop eating 4 to 5 hours, glucagon comes in and starts using the sugar. Why does that matter? Sugar, when stored too much in your cells, turn into what? Fat.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got an issue with not only the diabetes, but now we got fat tissue issues. Issues. You know what I mean?
And that's where, that being said, now we can segue into really what you do with the fitness piece in there. So if you put the fitness piece into that, so tell us a little bit by if that happens when a client comes to you, what kind of regimen do you put them to?
So the first thing I do, depending on the fitness level, and I already know what they eat. So the first intake, I ask them what they eat on a daily basis. If I know you eat every 3 hours and you're eating fast food, I know as soon as you work out and you don't work out as much, I know as soon as you do 25 jumping jacks, and I might make you walk up and down, you're gonna be dizzy because you're used to having high sugar levels. Right now, I dropped your sugar levels because when you work out, you use sugars. So now I drop your sugar levels, you're gonna get dizzy, you're gonna have a headache. So what I do is I do it gradually.
I need some water. You talking about? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
The sugars are now gonna drop, but I do it gradually. And
my body is responding to how you talking, so I'm. No, but go ahead.
So the goal of what I do is I put them on a program that's basically 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, right? And what's going to happen is your body is going to keep dropping the sugars, but you're going to get adequate break and rest so it can modulate itself and moderate the sugars and stuff like that. It needs time to process what's going on, and then you're going to get lightheaded. Right. And a lot of people go straight to drinking orange juice because now they're lightheaded. And so now they're lightheaded. I drink orange juice. What happens? I spike up my sugars again.
Right.
So I defeat the purpose. Yeah.
Does the same thing.
Yeah. So I stay away from the juices, and then I do myself a favor, and I tell them, you know what? I want you to lie on your back, elevate your feet. Because what's going to happen? All that blood's going to go where? To your head. Yeah. And all those sugars are going to go to your head where it's actually needed at the time. That's why you're dizzy. Okay. So we do that. I do that 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off of whatever workout for the first 2 weeks. But I tell them when you get lightheaded, do not go straight to a sugar. Relax yourself, elevate your feet.
So all that, give a piece of candy when they get lightheaded.
That is you're going back to diabetes again, because diabetes is a condition only known when you.
It's a reactionary condition to the body's.
What's happening right now, right then.
Exactly. Right.
The only way they can judge you have diabetes is when they get your A1C. They really can only say you have diabetes when your A1C is over a certain number. Yeah.
So by you saying that, you could basically within a couple of weeks. I know Dr. Whitaker always said you give them 6 weeks.
He gave less than
yeah.
Because go ahead.
So you could cure somebody, and they don't even know they're cured, but because of what they've been taught and what they've been told, they can just basically go back to being diabetic. Because if you told all the time, if you're feeling dizzy, drink cranberry juice.
Yeah.
or drink.
You put your body
orange
back
juice
into a
or put some
diabetic
candy.
state. Yeah.
Right, because that's what, like, how do they get away with that stuff?
Because first thing, doctors, so my father's diabetic. I spoke to him about diabetes 2 months ago at length. He's been diabetic most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 30 now. His doctor never explained how I explained it. I was like, what?
Really? Yeah.
So I was like, when you get lightheaded, that's called hypoglycemia. That's a drop in sugar.
Right.
Your body just needs more sugar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not doing anything, it doesn't need any sugar. Your body reacts to the sugar, the need for sugar for whatever you're doing. So if you're doing high intensity interval, it needs way more sugar. So it's telling you, hurry up. Adrenaline, cortisol, those hormones are coming into that situation.
But you mentioned something on that case. If that happens, then if you just lay down and put your feet up
And stay
so
there until
basically,
you stop feeling lightheaded.
So basically, you've also implemented another form of exercise anyway, really, right?
Yeah.
And so if you stand up and you do like leg lifts or just put your feet up.
Just you got.
So it's still it's an activity. It's just a low level activity.
It's not even an activity. It's stillness. So instead of putting your body back in a diabetic state, what you do is you help your body calm down for a second.
Okay.
And what it does, it will calm down just a little bit, enough for you to get up slowly, and then you realize, okay, I'm not dizzy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'll continue. And you'll get lightheaded a little bit, but not as bad as the first time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so you continue that, you train your body how to deal with low levels of sugar. I personally have gone 7 days without food.
Mm-hmm.
No food, no
Right.
juice, no nothing.
Right.
Just water.
Mm-hmm.
I also was running. We had a restaurant and a gym. And I was training people. I wasn't doing all the exercises, but I was moving. 7 days. And spirulina water and just Fiji and Avion.
Right.
So what does that mean? I train my body how to operate. There's days I won't notice I've worked out. I worked out 3 days without food.
But it's your mindset too.
It's my mindset, but also my body. Your body will train itself
because it's not asking for things it doesn't,
because it knows how to do it. Knows how to do it. And I can go into a deeper conversation, but just know that your body you can train your body to do whatever you want to do.
One of my friends is funny because when I did the fast, and I'm about to do another one, I'm gonna try to implement it each month because that's what we're trying to do. He did the 21-day fast, and he's a boxing trainer as well. So one of the things that when we were on the Zoom late night, he didn't realize that all the stuff he was doing during the day because of what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime his mind said you were hungry, he just drank his water.
Yeah.
He did the lemonade diet. He just drank his water and stuff, and then therefore it basically calmed down the cravings, anything that was happening. So what you're saying is absolutely right because I did it, and it's funny. People don't realize after the first day of fasting is probably the hardest day. The second, but after that, you don't realize how good you feel when you don't have like certain foods in your body and you don't eat. I mean, automatically it just restores your system. So that being said, though, do you implement when you do your plans? You implement the intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
Right. You don't do fat. You just do the intermittent fasting, which is probably better for somebody that's diabetic.
Yeah, I do. I don't tell anybody to do what I did. Like no food at all. Like I didn't eat for 7 days.
Right.
A lot of people are fasting, but they're intermittent fasting, right? So intermittent fasting is a quick. It's just showing crazy results right now. Like even doctors are like, "Yo, I don't know why they didn't understand this because they were looking at it from a different perspective." And it's not like they're dumb. We don't know what they know. They just didn't look at it from this perspective.
Well, they're looking at it as the medical field, and it's, not to shine, but it's about money and
but it's not their fault. But I really don't blame
That's what
doctors.
they learned. Yeah.
That's what they learned, and so, and not saying they know way more than me. I'm telling you, I know what kale does.
Mm-hmm.
When you inject, if I ask them, "Yo, give this girl, don't give her this iron pill because it's gonna bind her up," you know that they know that. Yeah. I'm gonna get her on a kale smoothies, kale drink, right? If she's a meat eater, I'm a vegan, but if she's a meat eater, I'd rather eat Venice than beef. Yeah. Boom.
So speaking of that real quick, not to change till we get back on diabetes. Once again, we always refer to Dr. Witter because that's a man. He doesn't advocate for going full vegan.
Yeah. No,
and I've known so another doctor I know, I can't think of his, the Chinese doctor, Dr. Wu, I think, who is phenomenal, once told us in a conference that we are crazy because all the stuff that we use for cures, we get it from you people.
He told us that.
Yeah.
It's a world-renowned doctor that heal people from cancer and all that. And he was saying the same thing about it depends on what region you are.
I never promote. You've never seen me say go vegan.
Yeah.
Never. I wait.
Right. I never heard you. You're right. I never heard you say that.
We have a veg fest, but I never told nobody to go vegan.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest. Vegan is a white people's movement.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So when a movement has not a movement, it's a movement. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like the women's suffrage movement. It's just
Right.
like the civil rights movement.
Right.
It's a movement,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so understanding what that means is like it has its own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
You eat according to where you're from.
Right. Exactly.
So Dr. Sebi is saying this. Every doctor's they're just getting to this. Epigenetics. You guys can research this. They're just getting into this. It's like duh. You eat according to where you're from because you have something called gut bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Our gut bacteria, our
Right.
gut flora,
Right.
probiotics, prebiotics, stuff like that.
And it's also the climate you're in and the temperature as well, too.
That's all related to your gut bacteria.
Right.
You only have certain types of bacteria to what you were exposed to. Your bacteria is just like the soil. Right. And so you gotta eat what was available. That's why we can't eat a lot of the foods here because most of them are not native to the world, first of all.
Correct. That's
Right? Because first of all, you can research this yourself. In epigenetics, they're realizing that your gut bacteria has DNA. What does that mean?
Yeah.
DNA is the coding system for you to survive in your environment.
Exactly. Right.
Simple.
So no seeds. You don't eat nothing.
We already know that. But you might catch you with a seedless purple grape, man.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But I see a lot of people that when they're in the grocery store, like you can't find, and Costco's just got seeded grapes, all right? Because I go there. But you can't go into the grocery store unless you go into a health store or something, a farm, and get anything. Like even oranges are not seeded. Like what doesn't grow with a seed?
I mean, GMOs and GEOs, genetically modified organisms.
But it's not native.
No, it's not. It's made in a laboratory. Monsanto. They were right down the street in Indian Ocean. So, yeah, I mean, we're doing. I mean, Bill Gates is leading that movement.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that, but he's a part of that movement.
Yeah, buying up all these Whole Foods and all.
Yeah, he's a part. He actually owns Impossible Burger.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can go in depth with that, but so understanding that you have to be able to. So if you're dealing with allergies, even that's 9 times out of 10 you're allergic to something that's not native.
Right.
That 9 times out of 10, or you're not native to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do an elimination diet, you start eliminating major food or major things like dairy, red meat, stuff like that. You'll start realizing, okay, there's a change, and then you can go a step deeper. And that's why the alkaline diet was very important, because it focused on non-hybridized foods, right? And so, there's just so much research that's going on, but more so, not even research. You can do the research on your own body. I never talk about something I haven't done myself. Right. So,
which is very important because I mean, if you look at Justin, he's a testimony. He's not just sitting in here talking to me. He told you at the beginning of the show that he was diabetic himself. So when you look at everything is by trial and error, and you're a testimony to yourself of what works and what doesn't.
I done fainted for y'all, man. I fainted like 6-7 times trying to find out sugar levels, understand. I fainted.
Right.
Like they were fanning me. Yeah, that's how bad my hypoglycemia. Like I couldn't go too long without sugar. So so I mean, it's important for you guys to do the research on your body with consultation from a medical professional. Like, what do you think about this? But when you start doing research, I tell people, when I go into the doctor's office, they automatically assume I'm in the medical field because of the verbiage, right? The jargon. This means this. This means that they don't think you guys know basic information. That's why they prescribe a lot of stuff. Because they don't think you're going to make the change.
Or question it.
Yeah, or question it. So I go in and I'll say words, let me see the WBCs. What? White blood cell. They'd be like, oh, are you a physician? I just said white blood cell. That's basic. Right. But they don't think
they don't hear that terminology like
from
you
a
said.
layman.
Right.
So they automatically assume I'm in med school, I've graduated, or I'm in practice. Literally. And just that when you start arming yourself with information and not going on the internet looking up Dr. Sebi and saying, what is Dr. Sebi saying? Because Dr. Sebi only gave you a little bit because he never wanted to give you the full picture. That's first and foremost. When you start looking into pathology books, pathophysiology, read those 5 pages. Like when you start reading the first 5 pages, you go into your doctor's office, you say, all right, we're looking at this at an endocrine level. They're gonna be like, whoa, you said endocrine? Dang, that's simple.
Right.
How about we look at this from the communication of sugar in the body?
Right.
Let's start looking at from different class and just use the word beta cell. Like I know my beta cell's not might be working. Right. Like, oh shoot, they're gonna get relaxed and start talking to you.
Because usually when you go to the doctors is they're in here, they're typing on the chart and they're looking and then they're saying, oh, he ain't asking no questions. Then they'll ask you, do you have any questions? And 9 times out of 10, most people say no. Not me. When I go in there, the first thing I say is, why are you taking my blood pressure? Oh, well, what are you doing with my blood? So the last time I went to the doctor's office, they couldn't tell me what they were doing with my blood. Mm-hmm. And I said, so why would I give you a sample of blood? Well, this is routine. No, it's not routine. Why are you? My blood is sacred right now. And that was when I was fasting. And I was like, well, right now I'm in fast. My body is healing. I'm not giving any blood. So the doctor, she was like in awe. She was like, and I was like, well, but you don't have no answer. And she was like, I don't have any answer. And then they called another person in there. And I told them, I said, right now I'm rebuilding my DNA. I'm at the height of the Aquarius right now. Right now I'm restructuring and my body's healing itself. And I'm building my immune system. And they looked at me like I was crazy and said, we'll see you in like 3 months. Yeah. So what you're saying is absolutely true. Instead of just sitting there, even though when people leave the doctor's office, the first thing they say, well, my doctor said, and my doctor, without even researching what was said, or like you saying,
Yeah. So,
but I'm gonna use the beta cell next time I go on.
Yeah, like so like my beta cell, like there's so many different words you can use, but I'm not saying I don't know nothing more than a doctor. I just read the same book they read, and regurgitated the information they're about to give to me. Right. And so when you give me information, you think I'm not gonna look it up. Yeah. I was sick for like 4 years straight. And I'm not had chronic asthma, eczema, and nobody, and I was fit like muscles. You know what I mean? Muscles all day, but nobody could tell me anything. Yeah. Like, so
now back to I grew up with asthma. This is a funny thing, and I want to talk to you real quick about that because we'll see. I mean, we got a couple of minutes left. I know we have to end the show, but I grew up with asthma, so I went from when I was a little kid getting the shots once a week to every other week because I had it really bad. I also was an athlete when I grew up. So one of the things that I found out, my sister's always been a homeopathy, and she told me to get dewormed. All right, because I didn't know asthma was nothing but worms and eggs in your stomach. So when I got dewormed, it basically, when I was like 16 years old, it basically eliminated all my asthma. I didn't have to go back to the doctor. That's a true story. But there's certain versions how you get rid of asthma and stuff. So I just want to say, like, how did you get rid of yours?
Dairy.
Stop with the dairy.
Dairy first.
Yeah, because people don't understand in your body. Like when we talk about, people understand that worms generate in your body because of food and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I took mine out through dairy, and it caused inflammation. Dairy causes inflammation if you're not anything that your body is not used to is going to cause an inflammatory response. Viruses, bacteria, the list goes on. I mean, like
almond milk or something. Like I just threw that in there. But anyway, that's the new kick now. Everybody eating cereal with almond milk and whatever.
Almond water is what it's really is. It's not the milk of anything.
Right.
It's the water mixed water and almonds.
Well, they say they promoted almond milk. So
and again, marketing. It's not literally there's no, like Dr. Whitaker said, there's no milk in almonds. You cannot milk an almond.
Right.
Because when you milk something, it literally is going to drain out. And milk is again a protein and a fat.
Right.
So the water would have.
And milk is also a waste too, if you really look at it.
Of certain animals,
right?
But not for us. Like you can have some milk that's waste. Like there's a whole colostrum. There's a whole. We could go in there, but But it's the fact that understanding that when you're getting marketed to, because you have to understand the Food Drug Administration, FDA, they are one. That's a one body, regulatory body. And so, like when you talk about the marketing of the food, very disingenuous to the people. Like you cannot tell me dairy is going to give you strong bones. That's a medical claim.
Right.
Okay. It would have to be backed. And this people get mad at me when I say this. You have to be backed by peer-reviewed studies. Right?
Okay. Correct.
Why is there now peer-reviewed studies saying it can also lead to osteoporosis? There's a link, or correlation between
correct.
consumption of milk and osteoporosis,
Mhm.
specifically in the Black community.
Right.
So then what? People get mad at me when you research how the body reacts to certain stimulus.
Right.
Start understand. So I'm not talking. Milk is for the animal that is for.
Right.
Cow's milk is for
Correct.
cows.
Right.
Milk is for. The reason is because again, there's enzymes in your body that communicate.
And we don't have the same
we
as
don't
the
have
cows.
it.
Yeah,
if
right,
you're not
yeah.
casein, because people, I don't want to go in depth. Casein intolerant. Casein is the protein in milk, or whey intolerant. A lot of people are not lactose intolerant because lactose can be without milk or in.
It could be right. It could, yeah.
So now you see how that marketing works.
Yeah.
You can be casein intolerant. What does
Yeah.
that mean? You
Right.
can't tolerate the protein.
But why do people like they listen to what you just said, and they'll see a commercial come on with all these cereals and still buy milk?
Because we're trained to.
Yeah.
We're trained. People don't understand they've done spent billions of dollars on how the mind works.
Mm-hmm.
And if I show you something, a lie enough, it will become the truth to you.
Right.
And so
if you watch it enough, right.
And it hurts people's feelings when I say this. Research has nothing to do with actual data equaling an actual result. It has to do with the goal of the research. Again, you will find this out. I've worked with people that were in research, and they will tell you they wanted us to find out if this happens.
Right.
So they're focusing on that.
Right.
So if it happened 25% of the time, they will exalt the 25% of the time. And in the abstract or something deeper, you may get some other number. They're not obligated to tell you everything.
They're not, right. They don't have to tell you everything.
Research and again, so you read a research study, you know they're not going to get sued if they give you faulty information, right?
Right.
They just did a research study.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. They don't have to indulge.
So your body is the best researcher. So when I say, okay, I don't eat this or this or this, because I fasted, introduced it to my body reacted poorly, fasted again, or try to eat a little bit, boom, nope. 5 times, bro, you can't be eating. That's very simple. Right. You know what I mean? And so your body is your best communicator to what you're supposed to be eating, what you're not.
Look, and I can be a testimony to you. Now another thing too, before we close out, you have an important event coming up. You have vegan fit. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So April 10th at the Boys and Girls Club, thanks to Keaton, we'll be having Veg Fest. This one's gonna be a big one. We're trying to get
the last one was I know you had my guy DJ for you, Dave Dynamic. The last one was, even he called me, he was like, I'm surprised at the turnout. So you guys have a good turnout. So tell us like what's gonna happen during that day.
We're gonna have probably about 30 food vendors, natural and holistic vendors, as well as having people with products that are vegan as well. And so this event is to help increase the awareness of the vegan community in not Western Mass. But the biggest thing is it's not about vegan, eating more plant-based. Right. The goal of art is to people understand, see there's access to plant-based foods. Right. Not to be vegan, but to understand there's access. Our ultimate goal is to be able to create a grocery store and fund it, not from Veg Fest, but with community support.
With the community support,
right?
And I like that idea. Listen, this is a true story. My mom's from Georgia, so when I was growing up, 2 things I hated doing was cleaning fish in the backyard with the scales and digging our garden. So we were living in Robinson Garden, which is the projects, and we were like one of the only families that had a garden because that's what my mother knew. And I didn't really appreciate like all the fresh fruits and all the stuff because we were growing anything from watermelons to everything. We would eat like all off the garden all summer, and she would give like the neighbors and stuff. I really didn't appreciate that until after the fact, when you have all of these issues of what they're like, what you're saying with the FDA, what they're doing to the food now, and the things that people don't understand. Causes of cancer is food, is stress. Then you worry about going to the doctors and hearing knowing that the stress is causing all of this. So a lot of this stuff is indirect to really what you eat and what you put in and what you, like you say, what your mind sees. So that right there is something I definitely want to support. And when we need the community to support this, we can have our own supermarket and feed our own community. Yeah. So Veg Fest is gonna hold this. No, we will. We're trying to hit 1,000 people. Last time was 700. The first one was 500. 500, 700, we're trying to hit 1,000. The goal again is to get that grocery store, but increase it.
And my new challenge, and this is to the parents and people, I'm not into politics, so I don't have nothing to lose. I have my own business and not to be cocky. That's all. You know how having your own business is.
Right.
It ain't to be like, oh, I have my own business. That means I don't care about anybody's feelings when it comes to my people. So I'm going to tell you this now. If your kids are in school and you're seeing the school lunch be terrible, you're the fault, right? So parents are not understanding that. And diabetes is just a byproduct of sugar. But guess what? So is ADHD, okay? They're seeing links.
Facts.
And this is research. Yeah. They're seeing links from autism and sugar. Other factors as well. They're seeing links. Not saying it's a direct, but they're seeing links. If your kids are still eating processed food in school, after all the information y'all see on the internet, you're not doing anything about it. Now I'm challenging school and everybody that's in the school committee. If y'all don't change it in 5 years, you're killing the kids. No pun intended. You are killing children. If you don't start doing the research now about food and how the mind works, you're doing disservice. Now, I've told you this. Now go do your research. You are killing kids and you're killing your own kids.
And we're in compliance to that because just like you're saying, because we sit there and agree to it. But not only that, just think about the food you eat and just think about the lighting in the classrooms that's projecting on you. That's not projective lighting for your melanin. And they're wondering why kids are acting the fool. Look at the lights on.
Why are you vitamin D deficient?
Right.
Still.
Even me sitting underneath this light, you feel a certain way. I'm serious because that's not light from the sun. Yeah. That's not conducive to our melanin. So they're acting. And it's funny because I had a book. Harvard University has the largest research on melanin, and nobody even knows it. They got like 4 floors in their library dedicated to just all melanin research. And they're in there researching. We're the only ones that don't research. But just look at it, what he said, and then just add that to it. And you wonder why your kids are acting the fool in school.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying you have to be perfect. Kids eat tater tots or whatever they eat, they're doing good. My babies are vegan. Doesn't mean I make everybody know. I'm not saying that. You know your kid. If you look at the school lunch and you know it's disgusting, it's because it is. I'm not getting science.
No, you're right.
So challenge them to do better. Liz Ogilvy is pushing for it. Yeah. Now y'all have to push for it. When you take charge of your kid's life and raise your children, now I can say that because I have a kid, so I can't hear not only you don't have kids. I got kids now. Right. My kids are vegan. Right. My kids don't watch TV like that. Right. So how you don't understand? No, I got 2. What else are you gonna say? Right. When she goes into childcare, they know they can't feed her this. No, how do you do that? Because I told them to. Right. Unless they want to see a lawsuit and saying you're trying to kill my child, then they're not going to do it.
And then I'm pretty sure you're making sure that you would bring them the right nutrition there too. So before we close out, because I know we got to get out of here, tell us a little bit about your business, where it is, and what some services and what your hours of operation.
I barely do. But basically 321 Albany Street, that's where we are.
Is D a client?
No, we always on shows and I never promote my business.
Well, he don't need no physical.
He worked out with Kumar. Yo, listen, you want to hear the story? D was that.
Are you guys live?
Yes, we are.
Don't share my business.
D was Kumar killed D. Oh man, I couldn't get a video and I was so mad. I just remember D's face. I'm just like, what is this man doing? But we're 321 Albany Street. We do personal training, group exercise classes, nutrition classes, meal plans, yoga, sound healing, Reiki, mindfulness. Nice. But if you don't want to come to our gym, Derek Hatwood's right at where? On Bay Street, right next to Self. That's right down the street from us. You don't like us? Go there. Right? There's
just get into some.
Go somewhere.
You know what's funny though? When I first met Kumar when he was little, he was a little chubby kid. And I look at Kumar now.
Ripped, right?
He ripped now. I was like, but you know what? It just shows you that when you invest in your body and you invest in your mind and you do research, the things you can come up. So like you saying, on top of you coming to American International College and get a degree, you also put it to use of how better you can help your community.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important though. So I appreciate what you're doing, Justin, really what you're doing. And not only are you just, get people fit, you're educating them on diabetes and other things that could really help their, which is a desire in this community and something that we need because diabetes is very, very functional in our community.
And one more thing, a lot of this information is free, y'all. Like we did another show where I broke down into the science, me and D. So it's like, I'm doing this, so if you don't want to pay for something, it's free, right? And so that means now it's your responsibility to take care of your life. I'm tired of are Black people dying at 50 or 60. It makes no sense, right? Especially with these diseases. Some of them are lifestyle diseases.
Yeah. And it's crazy. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. This is a abbreviated version of the Respect for Life show on Drew on the Air. What'd you say, Drew on the Air? Moss, on D Moss the stream. I want to thank D Moss for really letting us use the stream to get the narrative and the platform out. We really appreciate it. And I just want to say, make sure, give them the number and information before we leave out here, to make sure you contact Justin, get a plan that's conducive to you, and let's get started, man. Definitely let's get started.
413-777-2774. Once again, 413-777-2774. I gave a free class at Bumpy's. I'm sorry. Not a lot of people showed up, right? And so I'm giving this stuff away for free, and I'm going to continue to do it because it just needs to be done. But I have another nutrition class at Fresh Acres, 12:30. And the only reason it's at Fresh Acres is because it's at Fresh Acres this week.
Well, usually
it's at Bumpy's.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't apologize where it is, because our people still need it, whether they come to Bumpy's or not.
Yeah.
It's I know we are, for our people, but the information needs to come out to everybody. So once again, I want to thank Justin for coming, taking time out with us on his busy schedule. I want to thank D Moss again. We'll be back next week in full studio on 90.7 WTCC, the Respect for Life show. All right, so have a good day, everybody. Enjoy.